All right, here we go. All right, thanks for joining us tonight for our Freedom Award nomination presentation. Assistant Awards Director Kim O'Connell, Public Affairs Director Amy Molina, and Lori Sylvie, me, State Chair, will be putting on this presentation. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We'll take questions as we go, or if you have any thing at the end, we can answer them at that time. So we wanted to just talk a little bit about what the Freedom Award is. The Secretary of Defense Freedom Award nomination period is open now until December 31st. The National Award presented annually to 15 employers across the country, and traditionally it's about 5 large employers, 5 small employers, and 5 public sector employers who are the winners. But in recent years, that hasn't stayed true to the numbers. It's the best 15 nominations. Each state can submit 1 nomination and an alternate in each category, and they hold an annual ceremony at the end of August in Washington, D.C. at Pentagon. This year, however, they had to end up doing them in each state, and each state chair had the opportunity to present the awards in person if they were able to, or potentially virtually if that was the only way that they were able to do them.
Can I just jump in? When we talk about large employer and small employer, I believe the threshold is approximately 500 employees, and that's a differentiation.
Yes, that is the differentiation. It's 500 and above. Small employer is less than 500. And then, of course, the public sector is government and public companies. So, as I said, the nomination season is open now. Last year, they got about 2,415 nominations. Illinois had a little bit fewer than usual. We had 82 last year. The year before that, it was 115. So right now, the nominations are running far ahead of last year in all states. Illinois right now has 66 already after just about 5 weeks of the season being open. So and we can speculate that with COVID and more people doing virtual presentations, that maybe they are just feeling grateful to their employers for letting the service members being able to go and deal with the COVID, or who knows what the reason is. But it's a good thing that there are a lot of nominations in. They're already up to almost 2,600 nominations just in the 5 weeks. So. And then I know Amy wants to talk a little bit about cultivating a nominee through the period of time. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next slide. And go ahead, Amy.
Oh, okay. So I was actually, I was at wit's end trying to think of something to put in a slide, and then Laura used the magical word cultivate. And that's where I started from. Planting and developing a Freedom Award winner can begin from the very first time you're in touch with a military member who wants to nominate someone. You're at an event or, virtually or otherwise, and you encounter people that you're then in touch with and you want to suggest this to them. You can, plant this by just throwing things in the ground and hoping they grow, or you can nurture it in this way by helping them look ahead. So you plant the idea of the future awards, you tell them about the other things that are ahead. It's not just this one. You're assuming that somebody's going to have a long-term relationship with an employer, and a mutually beneficial one. And then this is something that you can put military members when you're talking with them. You explain the importance of continued recognition, that long-term relationship. Make clear from the start the value of the nomination narratives. I can remember coming down to Springfield, Lori, and sitting with you guys, and we were going through the narratives that year, looking for ones to promote for a Freedom Award, and they really made all the difference. all other things considered, that story is important. It's important that it be thorough and compelling. So you can assist with this. There are a lot of people that don't want to write, that are put off by it, put down like the bare facts and bullet points. You can do that. That's fine. But as the volunteer, you can offer help with this narrative and really do justice to the employer that's being honored and tell the story in the fullest and most interesting way possible. And you shouldn't hesitate to reach out to me, to public affairs, to your area chair, any of us, for whatever help is needed to make the most of that employer's story. So if we, sort of plant this idea from the beginning, you are developing employers that have a much better shot at this award. And that's all I got.
Okay, and just one more note on that too. The military member can also reach out to their own public affairs officer in whatever unit they're with and ask for help there too. They're happy to help out as well.
Nope, be happy to help. So there's help available. So there's no reason to have these really short, terse narratives unless they're done on the fly and it can't be helped. But otherwise, if there's time, and there usually is, it can be done more fully, and many, many resources exist to help with that.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and talk about this too, the promotions? It's still your category.
I guess it is. Social media posts. Well, as everyone knows from the beginning of the Freedom Award season, I've had pinned to the top of our page the piece from headquarters promoting the nomination season. When you guys go out, of course, once we're going out, but when you're doing these presentations, you're having any contact, you mention this in your groups, and that goes along with the cultivation because, from the beginning, the first contact, an SOS, a Patriot Award, whatever, to the end, the top, the Freedom Award, make that connection in people's minds and make it clear to them and remind them. Like it says here, you can add to your email signature when sending emails to service members. And, if anyone else has additional ideas that they'd like to share that, they've found successful, please let all of us know.
All right, so the process step by step. The nominations are submitted online through December 31st. The state committee, which is Kim O'Connell and Christy Sylvie and I are doing them this year. We review individually every nomination that is put into our portal. Kim, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've seen so far? I know you've just started reviewing them, but is there anything that has stood out to you from any of the nominations that you've noticed? Any comments about anything?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I would like to stress, and when any of you are assisting and talking with service members in regards to submitting a Freedom Award nomination, to make sure that, number one, all of the questions are answered. That's one of the things that I'm finding, because each question that is presented, there has to be an answer, and then they receive points for the answer that is presented in terms of if they meet it fully, partially, or not at all, no supporting details. A lot of times the service member will provide just a brief introduction to why they want to nominate their employer for a Freedom Award, and then they don't answer any of the questions, provide no supporting details, and just say something like, I'm really grateful for all the support my employer has given me. By doing that and not fully developing the award nomination package, they're not getting the full points and they're not getting consideration that may be warranted. So it seems that is the biggest hurdle. I've gone through, I think, 15 of the award nominations so far, and the vast majority of them, there is no detail, there's no examples, nothing is robust, and the examples are what's so important. You have to demonstrate what it is that the employer has done to support the member or to support the military and support the service member's family as well, and in the community. And without it, the award nomination really doesn't have a chance of going forward even though it might be a spectacular, very deserving employer. So that would be the biggest thing, just making sure that awards are fully developed and answered, and they're robust answers.
Absolutely. Yeah, that the point, it's done on a point system, like Kim said. So the more information that they provide, the more points that we can actually give them on each thing. And you know, there's some of these companies that we know they just haven't done a great job of explaining it in the nomination. So that's when we need to work with them over the next year, building up their nomination for the following year and make it better. So after through all of those nominations, we pick one large, one small, and one public sector to develop into our state's nominations. We'll do interviews with the nominees, ask them questions, have them gather support materials like articles that have been written in newsletters, any social media posts can be used with it, photos of going away parties, you know, information that's been written, you know, when they come back to town, if the local newspaper did something, all of that can be included as extra materials that can go in with the nomination. So after we get all that gathered together and we write a final summarization for it, then it's submitted to the national committee. Each company that is submitted to the national committee has to go through a USERRA review, make sure that there haven't been any complaints, substantiated complaints about the company, so that we make sure that there won't be any bad press if a nominee is moved forward, but there's, you know, complaints outstanding against them. They narrow it down to 30 semifinals out of the 150 that come from the states, and then from those, 15 winners are chosen. And they spend several months preparing for the award ceremony and you know, heading out to Washington, D.C. for the award ceremony at the Pentagon. So I wanted to give just a couple of examples of what good nominations consist of. Archer Daniels Midland was our winner in 2019. When I went through their nomination, I had been working with them for 5 years to build their nomination, and they were able to score 100% of the available points. It was only one nominator that put it in, and one contacted the company that I worked with. But you know, multiple nominations for one company can, you know, you can only submit one nomination, but for a company during 1 year, but you could take information out of those other nominations to help build your package to put it in for the final nomination. And it can take years and years and years before the company is recognized. Prairie Grove School District up in Crystal Lake, Patty, the nominator, had been working with us. I think she said she had put it together 6 or 7 years before she finally was able to help them to win the Freedom Award. And I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly what year that was. I think it was 2016 that one won. So here's just some examples of the comments that Andrew, the nominator for ADM, put in his information. So these are really important. So you need to make sure that you can bring it to the eye of the reviewers when it gets to the national committee. You know, talking about sending representatives to farewell and returning welcoming ceremonies. The vice president offering up tickets to hockey or baseball games for service members and their family. The Gatorade that they donated to the troops, and Christmas packages and birthday packages for the spouse and the family. And then another one that we've been working with, we have not gotten there yet, but is tellas Pharmaceuticals. The last time that they submitted, they scored 85% of available points, and we've been working with them for several years too. So again, one nominator has been putting all of this together for multiple years, and they were an alternate nomination for large employer that last year. They've got an honor garden at the entrance of their corporate headquarters, And then they were talking about all of the other things, the donations that they gathered to purchase a police dog for department. And then, all the other things that Estellas has done. And this is just a photo from the 2019 Freedom Award ceremony where Archer Daniels Midland was the large sector winner, and Ron Bacci and I were lucky enough to get to go out there last year for the ceremony last August. And Kim or Amy, do you have any additional comments that you'd like to make?
No, I think, again, just stressing the completion of the entire award applications and supporting examples.
And if I added
Yes,
anything, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I would say just tell the story. Tell the story.
Amy, you went away. Yep. Yep.
Am I here? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. We can hear you now.
If I added anything, I would just reiterate, get them to tell the story the way they're telling someone that they're trying to persuade. Just get them to tell the story from the beginning at any level. When you're trying to get somebody to nominate, tell it fully.
Yep. Bring a tear to their eye. That's the only way that the awards get any notice from the committee. They want to have emotional tugs at their heartstrings. So as much information as you can possibly put in. So does anybody have any questions, thoughts? No.
No.
If not, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay. Hey, this is Dick Franzen. I wasn't able to get in on the Teams. I listened to
Okay.
everything on the phone.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Dick.